Today in our lineup here on the Now, a first-hand look at the latest school shooting defense. Teachers taking a very hands-on approach. And with the second wave of the flu hitting now, what you can be doing to stop it from spreading in your home. And a clothing line is doing more to get women to run for office this year. We'll get into that.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Amanda Starantino, and thanks for joining us on the Now Indy. Their story is one many strive for, love at first sight, leading to a growing family. But one day she was suddenly left fighting for her life. Her husband wondering if he'd lost her for good. RTV6 has partnered with the American Heart Association in support of their Go Red for Women campaign, the national movement to end heart disease and stroke in women. RTV6's Alyssa Donovan has Pam's story.
Last November, Pam and Jerry Noblet were at home watching football. It was a Saturday. That's when Pam started feeling an achiness in her chest and shoulder area. She didn't think anything of it until she started feeling jaw pain too. That's when she told her husband they needed to go to the hospital.
I said, right now? And she goes, yes, right now.
Just 20 minutes later, Jerry stood in the doorway of his wife's hospital room and watched as her heart stopped.
It happened so quick. One of the nurses just, came right over and started doing CPR, and I thought, oh my God. And then you could see on the screen, there was just literally no heartbeat at all. And I thought, I don't remember saying I love you today.
But what he did remember was the night he met her.
I told her that night, I said, yeah, here's the girl that I'm going to marry. And sure enough, that's what happened.
The two have spent more than 40 years together, becoming parents, then grandparents.
I thought, oh my God, 40-some years and it's over. She's here one minute, she's gone the next. And then 10 minutes later, they bring her back.
That pain, if you've never had a broken rib, holy mackerel.
Pam suffered a heart attack and a broken rib from compressions, but she lived. And now this is how her and Jerry start their days.
We have started being more active as far as walking. We're eating healthier.
The 65-year-old is still recovering and has to relax a little bit more than she'd like to.
To sit and watch your husband clean the dishes, or, he loads the dishwasher wrong. And
Of course. But Pam says there's so many other things he does right, like telling her, I love you, each and every day.
Maybe 10 times a day, because you never know. Life is so short.
I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Thank you, Alyssa. A little chilly for that walk today, but we enjoyed some beautiful sunshine. You can see on the Weather Now camera there in Bloomington, though, clouds are starting to make their way back in here to central Indiana, but we combine that sunshine, and that makes these temperatures not feel quite so chilly out there. 30s for you in Peru and Tipton at 34, but you're 10 degrees warmer in Bedford at 44, while we sit at 37 in the city. High pressure, this is what's bringing in that sunshine, and you notice there's a little bit of snow back here in Nebraska, but that high, as it continues to sink to the south, will also push that precipitation south and away from us. So if you are heading out there this evening, we'll gradually increase those clouds, and temperatures are going to hold pretty steady as a result. We're still in the lower 30s here by 10 o'clock, and the wind should be fairly light out of the north, only about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And by tomorrow morning, we've got temperatures that are going to slide back into the lower half of the 20s, right around 20 degrees for you. Lafayette, Noblesville, 24 in Columbus to start off our day. That's not the coldest temperatures in the forecast, though. We're going to talk about even colder numbers that are coming our way, but a warm up for the weekend and that next chance for some rain. Chris?
Uber is adding a new feature to keep passengers safe. It's called on-trip reporting. It allows users to discreetly alert Uber about some non-emergency incidents, things like reckless driving or inappropriate questions from a driver. Before this, riders had to wait until a trip was over to report an incident.
If you know about a specific scam, you're 80% less likely to engage with that scammer. And if you do, you're 40% less likely to fall victim.
AARP is sounding the alarm on census scams.
Every one of us is going to get a postcard in the mail, and that information will explain, if we want to fill it out online, how to do it. We're not going to get an email from Census with a link. That's a scam.
An AARP survey found 70% of adults aren't familiar with census scams. Half think they could go to jail if they don't fill out the census. Now, that won't happen. And a third think that they might have to give their social security number, which is also not true. But these are tactics that scammers might try to use on you. A phone call is the most popular method. Emails could also direct you to phony websites trying to get your personal and financial information. Census fraud is really just another government imposter scam, like when someone pretends to be with Social Security, Medicare, or the IRS. But it can cost you a lot. The median loss is around $700. The money, though, it really has an impact that goes beyond that.
And even just being targeted, not even just not falling victim and losing money or losing your identity, being targeted is enough to make people feel distressed.
AARP has a Fraud Watch Network website and hotline for anyone who suspects they or a loved one have come in contact with a scam. Well, we have some new information on the coronavirus to start the Now newsfeed. The virus may be detectable before symptoms start. According to the New England Journal of Medicine, it is still unclear at this point, though, if a person can spread it to someone else before they feel symptoms. The Pentagon's top policy official has resigned. John Rood says that he's leaving at the president's request. He had written a letter to Congress last year saying the Defense Department had seen enough anti-corruption progress in Ukraine to justify releasing congressionally authorized aid. The EU is putting a limit on just how much AI can join its society. Today, a new proposal to regulate artificial intelligence. Leaders saying they will take a very careful approach on just how AI can impact people's lives. Well, let's get back to our lineup here on the Now. The second wave of the flu is hitting the country and it may be spreading around your home. We're going to go to the experts to get some advice on how you can keep it from getting worse.
Our TV6 is working for you and staying on top of an important safety issue, lights along the interstate. It's a whole lot brighter now along I-65 near the South Split. There are new LED lights between Raymond Street and Washington Street. Our TV6 was made aware back in January about your concerns about darkness along certain areas and took those concerns to INDOT. INDOT says once it's aware of an outage, repairs or replacements must take place in 30 days. If you need to report a light that's out along the interstate, the best way to report it is at indotforyou.com.
There are things that you can do at home to make sure the flu doesn't spread.
You want to make sure that you keep the people that are sick in certain parts of the house.
Now, Michael Silva Nash with Molly Maid says quarantine sick family members. Designate a sick bathroom just for them. And don't toss their toothbrush until someone is over the flu. Disinfect it by brushing it in peroxide or mouthwash.
You'll see it bubble up and you'll be just amazed at how much bacteria was on there.
Also disinfect doorknobs, light switches, appliance handles. If you have kids, think of the toys, tablets, phones, backpacks, sports, and school gear as well. Experts say clean your washing machine, run it through a cycle with soap, bleach, and hot water.
That really helps the system all together, not only the inside where you put the clothes, but also all the tubing, all that water, everything that's sitting at some point throughout the washer, it flushes out real well to make sure it gets real clean. So that way next time you put something in there, it doesn't continue to pass along with germs.
Viruses usually remain active longer on harder surfaces than they do on fabric and soft surfaces, and they're most commonly spread through personal contact with an infected person. All right, ahead in our lineup here in the Now, teachers are learning a different type of way to protect kids during a threat at their school.
I want to be calm under fire, and I want to be able to be that strength for those kids.
We have a first-hand look at the latest defense in addressing school shootings.
Kids.org to make a donation today.
There are so many opinions on how teachers should prepare for a potential crisis in their classroom. A group in Florida is taking a very hands-on approach.
I tried not to be a teacher, actually, but I didn't feel like I could run from my calling.
I teach at a homeschool co-op with about 50 children there.
I teach science in high school.
I've got 37 teenagers between the ages of 16 and 17.
I'm going to put my life for if I needed to.
It's a bad feeling to know that at any moment someone could come on the school and, hurt you, and your teacher, you, and the students don't know what you're going to do other than sit in a corner and hide.
If a bad day becomes a horrifying day, what's going to increase the survivability of yourself and the kids that are in your care?
Something happened that I was never prepared for. I had a transfer student who was facing some issues, and he brought a gun to school because he was hurting.
I always say this right here. The lion can't speak because the hunter's always telling the story.
So what we came up with was we wanted to teach teachers hand-to-hand combat.
Look, you see this? We start training with knives. We start showing them, pressure points and stuff. That's neat, ain't it? So you hear?
We wanted to teach them how to take down a threat.
We're gonna break down the entries on things, on what they could do. I need some chairs. Go get some of them chairs. They could barricade the door 40 seconds.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get in this corner.
We have the power to protect.
You're in this corner and hunker down.
By teaching teachers how to defend themselves, you teach them to become the weapon.
I feel like
you gotta learn to climb on top.
Public feels like we don't want to talk about it, that we're scared about the subject, but we want to be trained.
And we look at classrooms and we look at the way they're set up, and we give teachers examples of what you could do if you had to run. Where would you go? If you had to hide, how could you best hide your kids? And if you had to fight back, what do you already have in your room that you could fight back with?
It's a difficult conversation to have with students, but I believe it's absolutely necessary.
It's very reassuring to know that your teacher is trained to do this sort of stuff.
We talk about school security. Security is really the feeling the child has of knowing that they're safe when they're at school. And I would rather see us prepare to live than prepare to die.
I want to be calm under fire, and I want to be able to be that strength for those kids.
We're not powerless, we're not helpless. We can protect them if we learn what to do.
All right, let's turn to the Now News feed. The Smithsonian Women's History Museum is closer to reality. A bill passed to establish a board to help plan a future museum honoring women's history. Groupon, going back to focusing on experiences, the company will no longer offer retail items. Groupon's found it's hard to compete against other companies that are selling material items. Well, there's more confidence in the hiring process when it comes to money. Staffing firm Robert Half says more than half of professionals say they have tried to negotiate for higher pay with their last employment offer.
You may have seen a lot of emergency activity today on the west side. Despite what it looks like, there's no need to be alarmed.
First, we have a traffic victim on the top floor.
The Indianapolis Airport Authority Fire Department is hosting a 3-day fire training exercise at a vacant former hotel near airport property on South High School Road. Now, firefighters from across the state are testing their skills, knowledge, and experience. They are simulating the rescue of a civilian and a firefighter from the 6-story building.
You can sit in a classroom and you can walk through these evolutions, and every now and then you can get a small building, but to actually be able to exercise for 3 days, 2 times a day, so all 3 shifts will be able to participate. This is very valuable.
There's one more day of training tomorrow. More than 15 fire departments from across the state are participating. Kyle.
Some sunshine needing those sunglasses, and sun's been something that's difficult to come by here so far this winter season, but we're going to see a few more days of some bright skies before the wet weather moves back in. But at this point in the winter, you might be counting down towards spring now. And before we get to the season, which is just 29 days away, we are going to spring forward, make that time change here on March around the 8th. So 18 days from now, and of course we're within 100 days of the Indy 500. Out there with their sun setting, we've got temperatures in the 30s and still 41 for you in Bloomington. It's 33 in Marion. Tonight, the temperatures will settle back around 20 degrees as we have a few more of those clouds filtering on through. So enough of a blanket that will keep us from really dropping back into the teens in many spots going into tomorrow morning. Here's TrueCast. You can see that cloud cover, but we are going to be dry throughout the day on Thursday. As we look at 9 a.m., we got clouds. We'll have that wind coming off of Lake Michigan, possibly a couple of flurries flurries around Kokomo, Logansport, and Delphi, but otherwise we'll actually see a little more sunshine heading on into the afternoon. So it turns into a pretty nice day, but it's going to be cold here. We've got temperatures that are not going to make their way out of the 20s and a little bit of a breeze too. So much of the day we're going to have wind chills that will be in the teens. So tomorrow, even though we'll have some sunshine into the afternoon, not going to feel quite as nice. High temperature 27 for you in Lafayette, 32 tomorrow in Columbus, and then the coldest stuff, that's going to arrive early on Friday with temperatures in the teens, but fortunately we're going to be dry. It's not until we get late in the weekend that we've got that next chance for some rain. So we'll have those temperatures gradually warming up here with the dry conditions. 34 the high on Friday after that cold start. We're into the mid-40s on Saturday. More sunshine there. Will increase the clouds on Sunday, but not until Sunday evening and Sunday night does the rain return.
A women's clothing line is trying to help women who are running for office. MM LaFleur is offering to lend clothes to any female candidates this spring at no cost. Company says it's trying to do its part to make things, quote, a little bit easier for women running for office. Now, this effort to help women surrounds some challenges that they face, and one of them can be a lack of money.
Women tend to come into politics from professions and careers and networks that are less moneyed than men.
Debbie Walsh is the director of the Center for American Women in Politics at Rutgers University, and she says that despite women working more, many are still staying home to raise their children, which does play a role in just how much money they have. It can also take more time for women to raise those campaign funds. Now, another challenge she says that women face on the trail is double standards.
There are still conversations that are focused more on their appearance than on the substance of what they're saying. There are more conversations about the tenor and tone of their voice.
Now, there are efforts to help more women get into politics and stay there. The Center for American Women in Politics does have a site that lists resources for female candidates across the country. Now, with tattoos in this day and age becoming a little less taboo, Kai Beach is showing us how more branches of the military are changing their policies surrounding them with the hopes of attracting more recruits.
United States Coast Guard members put their lives on the line while covering a lot of ocean. And now Coasties are able to cover a lot more of their bodies with ink, as the Coast Guard recently eased up its tattoo policy.
We're doing this to increase the amount of qualified individuals that we can recruit into the Coast Guard.
Lieutenant Tony Pearson took us on a tour of the U.S. Coast Guard Sector San Francisco. The Coast Guard would not give us specific recruiting numbers, but Lieutenant Pearson says this move will hopefully increase recruitment.
We changed our policy in 2016. The recruiters have found that they were sending people away that were otherwise qualified. We really want to attract the highest quality recruits and the highest quality individuals into the Coast Guard and not let things like a tattoo policy bar them from entering.
Right now we're on a 45-foot RPM.
This is the second time in the past 4 years that the Coast Guard has changed its tattoo policy. Now recruits and service members can have tattoos on the back of their hands that are no larger than an inch. They can also tattoo one finger on each hand, excluding their thumbs. And they can have chest tattoos that can't be seen above a crew neck t-shirt. Across the bay at Sacred Tattoo in Oakland.
I've been tattooing professionally since '96.
Always made a career out of inking people, with Coasties making up a large portion of its clientele.
A lot of them will get the sparrows, the pig and rooster, but that's also a sailor thing.
Once considered taboo, tattoos are now more widely accepted. An estimated 47% of millennials have at least one tattoo, according to a recent Harris poll. Other branches of the military have taken notice. The Army, Navy, and Marines have all slightly changed their policies over the past few years to help attract the kind of service members that they want.
So at the end of the day, what it means for the people is that we have the best people out there doing the jobs that they are paying us to do.
Leaving a mark and allowing for permanent stamps of self-expression. I'm Kai Beach reporting.
Kai, thank you. Next in our lineup here on the Now, a new convincing scam could sound like it's coming from your boss. Criminals are cloning voices to try and take advantage of you. What else they could use this for in the future and how you can protect yourself.